Good afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome to this Cambridge Centre for Evaluation and Monitoring webinar on better connected data across your multi-academy trust. I have just a few pieces of housekeeping before we get started. So please note that your microphones are muted. We cannot hear any members of the audience, and this is to ensure good sound quality. But if you would like to ask questions, please post them in the questions section of the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll set aside some time at the end where we'll be very happy to answer them for you. You'll receive a certificate of attendance, which will be sent to your email inbox 1 hour after the webinar finishes, and you'll receive a copy of the webinar recording sent to you via email next week. I'll now hand over to Suzanne Tipping, who is one of our assessment advisors at KEM. Over to you, Suzanne.
Thanks, Megan. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just start with an introduction to myself. My name is Suzanne Tipping, and I am an assessment advisor at KEM. And part of my role is to provide specialist knowledge, advising schools and multi-academy trusts on the benefits and uses of KEM assessments. So I'm currently working closely with individual schools, colleges and multi-academy trusts, and also working with school networks to support their ongoing school improvement and future assessment strategies. I'm a former secondary school teacher. I used to teach business, IT and economics in secondary school with the sixth form, and I've got 20 years of experience in the classroom, and during that time I was a subject lead of GCSE business, and I've also had a pastoral role as a deputy head of year. But I've recently joined KEM, which is the Centre for Evaluation and Monitoring. We are part of the Cambridge University Press and Assessment family. And Cambridge University Press and Assessment has been around for almost 40 years. We're actually celebrating our 40th birthday this year, and we schools in over 90 countries are now using our baseline assessments. And KEM is one of the largest and longest established providers of adaptive, formative and baseline assessments for children of all ages, from early years all the way up to post-16, and I'll tell you a little bit more about those assessments today. All of KEM's methods are research-based, they're evidence-driven, market-tested and built on foundation of non-commercial academic practice. So today we'd like to tell you a little bit about what Cambridge KEM can offer for multi-academy trusts. So we have a suite of assessments which are designed for students aged 3 to 19. They're perfect for primary, secondary and post-16 schools and academies across multi-academy trusts. And our baseline assessments ensure consistency across trusts in terms of the assessment that's being carried out, whether that be a baseline or attitudinal assessment, our wellbeing check. They all provide reports that complement teacher observations and teacher assessments that are already happening in school. And alongside that, we also offer bespoke professional development courses, which I'll also tell you a little bit more about today. So of course already I know that you'll be carrying out your own assessments in the individual schools within your trust, and at KEM we try to ensure the best possible education outcomes across the multi-academy trust for all students by ensuring that they are taking part in standardised assessments which are the same within all schools across the trust. So you'll be able to carry out baseline assessments and wellbeing checks in each of the individual schools, which will provide data which is then comparable and can give you a more holistic insight about what is happening across the trust. So you can turn comparable data then across the trust into action within the classrooms in those schools. And it will provide you with a picture of the abilities and the potential of all of your students in every school. So Cambridge KEM has a suite of assessments, as I mentioned, and some of those are baseline assessments, which will assess academic abilities and potential academic outcomes. And we also have a wellbeing check, which I'll tell you a little bit more about, which tells us how students are feeling. And obviously wellbeing is really important to academic outcome as well. It really does have an impact on how successful pupils are and whether they achieve their full potential. So it's a really important thing to to know about in terms of the pupils in all of your schools. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about our primary assessments for multi-academy trusts that we have. So BASE is our reception baseline assessment. That's designed to give you a snapshot of where your children are as soon as they start your school, aged 4 or 5. And it's been developed to complement your own teacher assessments and your own observations of early learning. So BASE provides objective and independent information that helps you to understand what children know and can do when they join you. And it can also show you the progress that they're making during this crucial stage of development. And as well as supporting the early years foundation stage profile, our BASE progress and BASE inspection ready packages also allow you to monitor your children's progress over the year and ease transition into year 1. And then at that stage, we have Cambridge Primary Insight. So Cambridge Primary Insight is the next generation in primary assessment from Cambridge Chem. It's formerly known as INCAS, which some of you might be familiar with, which again serves the purpose of empowering teachers to build a strong foundation and really unlock students' potential. So Cambridge Primary Insight is used to benchmark what your students' levels of ability are when you start working with them in year 1, and it can highlight any hidden talent or undiscovered strengths which might not be apparent through classwork or and teacher assessment initially, and it can suggest where additional support might be needed. So it's giving you the opportunity to tailor teaching in all of your classrooms, in all of your schools, using the personalised reports that are generated. And it offers an objective measurement that helps you compare and track children's progress and really prepare them for that long-term success. With Cambridge Primary Insight, students are assessed in 5 key developmental areas, which research shows are linked to later academic outcomes. So they are assessed in reading. There'll be questions relating to word recognition, decoding and comprehension, spelling, maths, including counting, arithmetic, fractions, patterns, algebra, measures, shape and space, and data handling, mental arithmetic, so addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, and developed ability. And they'll see questions on picture vocabulary and non-verbal reasoning in that section. And with the primary assessments, the reports that are included will allow you to compare development with pupils of a similar age because you're provided with age equivalent scores. They can measure progressive pupil ability over time. And you can benchmark your academy performance against averages. So what would the average be in similar multi-academy trusts nationally? And it also helps you to understand trends over time because you can carry out year-on-year reporting with your students. We then have our secondary assessments, and these include mid-years and YELIS. So mid-years is our lower secondary assessments, and that's for students aged 11 to 14. And mid-years baseline assessment helps to discover students' aptitudes and likely future performance at GCSE. So this assessment will challenge each student at an appropriate level aligned to their ability with adaptive assessment. So it is an adaptive assessment. It will react to the responses that are given by the students and will then ask easier or more difficult questions to identify a more specific level of ability than a non-adaptive assessment would. And then it will generate predictions, which will help you to set motivational and realistic targets for students. And so the reports include predictive data for GCSE and IGCSE. And you will also receive a report which includes chances graphs, which indicate likely future performance at GCSE and IGCSE, which not only provide a straightforward prediction, but they also show the probability of a student achieving a different outcome. So, what probability is there, what percentage chance is there of achieving a level 1 to 9? And With the secondary assessments, with mid-year, you'll also receive a mid-year value-added report. So when you return actual GCSE results at the end of year 11, it will generate a value-added report which provides evidence for senior leadership to use for self-evaluation, can also be used for inspection purposes and to understand progress across the whole school and the whole multi-academy trust to really drive improvement where needed. YELIS is our upper secondary assessment for 14 to 16-year-olds, and like mid-year, it's also an adaptive assessment, and this is something that really makes our assessments unique. It has a student focus and really helps students succeed along their educational journey. The reports for YELIS include a detailed analysis of individual strengths and weaknesses, so that helps to structure a course of action for the academic year ahead, and it makes it clearer where interventions are required to provide both support and challenge for those higher ability students as well. Both mid-year and YELIS are quick to carry out, easy to set up, and results are available for YELIS within 48 hours. So like all of our assessments, they're research-based, and our specialised researchers have developed CHEM's question banks for these assessments, making it possible to assess students through all phases of their education. And the questions are trialled and tested and have been adapted when and where necessary. So in terms of the reporting really identifies students' starting points. So where are they at now? What is their current ability level? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Do they have strengths in the areas of vocab or maths, for example? Are there perhaps some weaknesses in terms of non-verbal ability? And it helps to understand which practices are going to be most impactful with value-added data. So you might want to perhaps compare value-added data across your different subject areas, different faculties, or across the different schools, and identify maybe where best practice could be shared between different departments or different schools, and where one school could support another. And it helps to review indicators of potential future GCSE exam performance. Some schools within multi-academy trusts are also helping students choose their GCSE subjects based on the predictive data that's available as well. For post-16, we have ALICE. So ALICE is our post-16 baseline assessment for 16 to 19-year-olds. And in terms of ALICE, it provides a nationally standardised score. It helps you to compare performance to the national average, and also specifically independent school averages, if that's relevant to you. Predictive data is generated from baseline test scores, so from the ALICE assessment, but also you have the opportunity to upload GCSE or iGCSE results, and this will also inform predictions for A-level. Value-added reports are available as well with ALICE, and they can really highlight your school's value-adding resources, which can really impact student achievement. So as mentioned, there's a value-added report that can help senior academy and trust leaders understand which practices are most impactful across the trust. You can see where there might be outliers of excellence, or where there might be dips in performance, which might just require some support and some intervention for improvement. And it does provide predictions to A-level. Now, alongside academic ability, it's likely that you will want to be aware of how your students are feeling in school as well. So we have the Cambridge Wellbeing check, which is a student-led assessment. It takes around 20 minutes to complete the assessment itself. 22 questions have been designed based on research that is suitable for children aged 7 to 18. And it allows you to check in on how students are feeling in your school while they're at school. And it allows you to evaluate, explore, and then teach and promote wellbeing as well. Because alongside the wellbeing check, once that's completed, we do have some supporting materials in the form of lesson plans that can be used to focus on areas where perhaps students might have a low level of wellbeing, or they might be struggling a little bit. So the Wellbeing check takes a look at how your students are doing in terms of their interpersonal well-being, life satisfaction, competence well-being, and also negative emotions, because these are the 4 key areas that can have the biggest impact on academic outcomes and success. And it generates reports again, which allows you to compare groups in terms of the level of well-being in different groups, whether that be just small groups of children, or it could be in a particular class. You can compare well-being of male and female students. You can look at well-being in one particular academy or school compared to another, and it also allows you to identify trends over time, because the well-being check can be carried out as many times as you like during the academic year. So you can look at whether interventions that you're putting in place or activities, nurture groups, for example, are really having an impact and helping to improve well-being in your school. And as I mentioned, we have 4 sets of supporting lesson plans. We have one for lower primary, upper primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary. And these are designed to provide guidance and really help you understand how you can promote well-being in the classroom. Alongside this, to support you, we also offer bespoke professional development. So we have a range of courses available, and these courses are specifically designed for different groups of people within the Multi-Academy Trust, whether that be teachers, middle leaders, senior leaders, and the different courses that we offer all have a different purpose, but we have courses that are designed to help people in your schools in different roles better understand their assessment reports that are being produced. It gives ideas of different types of intervention that could be implemented to then improve student abilities, and really helps to boost teacher confidence in assessment and intervention planning as well. So it's a series of courses, and those courses, we've got different packages that have already been designed that you can choose from, but they really are bespoke, because you can actually tell us what your needs are in terms of professional development in relation to our baseline assessments and putting interventions in place, and then we can kind of cater for your needs in that respect. So you'll learn how to identify strengths and weaknesses on a per student, per cohort, group or multi-academy trust level. You can learn how to use predictive data to review indicators of potential exam performance to help build really tailored development plans for students. You can learn how to formulate reports for senior leaders, governors, department heads and parents, and also how to formulate reports to show student development, and how to compare that with data from other schools as well. So to summarise all of that, why choose Cambridge Chem for your Multi-Academy Trust? So if you are carrying out the same baseline assessments and the same wellbeing checks across all of your schools, then it gives all of your students equal opportunity and support. They will all have the same individual reports, the same class and group reports and cohort reports, and they can then be used to help plan intervention. Because you've got comparable data that can be used across the trusts, then you can compare scores in each academy with the national picture using the same type of data. And all of our reports can be exported, and you can then upload it to your own management systems, your information management systems, whichever ones you use in your particular school. And you can then use it alongside other data that you've collected about students to give a more holistic picture of student ability alongside those other methods of assessment, whether that be, for example, half-termly data that students are inputting into those systems. You can compare that against predictions and look at where current performance lies in relation to what their outcomes should be and where there are gaps where intervention might be needed. You can ensure your students are being measured reliably and objectively, because you know that these are independent, standardised assessments that are being used, that are research-based, that are tried and tested. And it also allows you to quickly identify any areas that you might need to specifically focus on for academy improvement. Because all of the assessments are digital, it does save time and teacher workload because none of them require any teacher marking. They generate really quick results and reports that are automatically available on our dashboards, and you can actually, with some of these assessments, choose which information is available to which people within your multi-academy trust with specific logins. So it's available with a login, a simple login. They'll be able to access all of those reports and see what the results would be across the academy, across the trust. And it also generates reports that can actually be used to start conversations with parents, for example, as well. So, for example, I was just talking to some schools in our school network meeting last week about how they like to use both the parent report that we have, but also the chances graphs, you know, just to discuss what students' potential is, what their academic outcomes could be, and that helps to really discuss in motivational terms with the students what they're aiming for and what their targets are and what they can achieve. And it also helps to form improvement plans as well. And the reports that are generated help to identify strengths and weaknesses of new academies joining the trust as well. So you can see where support might be needed. So you can see at a glance what the ability levels are, what resources might be needed. So if, for example, you have a school that's joining the trust and you carry out the mid-year baseline assessment, you might be able to see that students in that particular school have tend to have a lower ability level in terms of maths, and you might want to allocate some maths resourcing, some maths tuition in that particular school. So it offers a really holistic and comparable picture of the development of your students, not just in terms of their academic ability, but in terms of their wellbeing needs as well. So you really have that holistic picture of all of your students. Helps to better understand and implement the successes of individual academies across the trust. It allows you to really quickly and easily report on student ability across all academies within the trust to wider trust leadership, governors and parents, and those reports will generate not only data in table formats, but visual data as well, which can be used as part of presentations and reports in the form of charts and graphs and colour-coded banding, for example. And trusts also use KEM to leverage detailed reporting to provide that really bespoke development and intervention plans for students, which really focus on their needs, which focus on the areas where they need support, or the areas where they might have a particularly high level of ability and you can really challenge them. So trusts are using KEM to help formulate evidence-based decisions to improve student success and really formulate aspirational target grades for their students to hopefully ensure the best possible academic outcome for them. And it helps to support teacher professional development and confidence in delivering and leveraging baseline assessments as well, especially with the support of our bespoke professional development courses. We're actually attending some events in the very near future. So on Tuesday, the 9th of May, we'll be at the Mac Growth Conference in London. And we're also attending the Schools and Academies Show on the 17th of May in London as well. So if you signed up to attend those, you know, come and see us at the KEM stand. But also, if you have any additional questions about anything that we've discussed today, if you'd like any further information about any of the specific baseline assessments for primary schools, for secondary schools, post-16, if you want more information on our wellbeing check or professional development courses, you can email me, Suzanne Tipping, at suzanne.tipping@cambridge.org. I'm the assessment advisor for the North, and Lucy Baker is the assessment advisor for the South. You can contact her on lucy.baker@cambridge.org with any questions as well. But similarly, if you have any questions at the moment, Megan, if you'd like to check the chat box and let me know, I might be able to answer them right now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Suzanne. Just having a look. Doesn't look like any questions have come through just yet. I'll give people a second. No. Well, as Suzanne mentioned, if any questions do pop into your head after the end of the webinar, please do get in touch with either Suzanne or Lucy. I'd be very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Of course, and you know, we're available also to set up sort of one-to-one calls or calls with leadership teams or relevant staff in school to give demonstrations of any of these assessments, to show you in more detail what the reports look like, for example, and to answer any individual questions that you might have that are relevant to your schools or your multi-academy trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's everything then. I'd just like to say a big thank you to Suzanne and to all of you for attending this afternoon. I hope you found it informative. As I mentioned at the beginning, we'll be sending the slides and the recording round within the next week or so, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to get in touch. Thank you for coming and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.